That's the purpose of our later upload for the people who are not here on this call. I'm trying to transition and move my page accordingly. Can you guys see, is it changing from your end? Did my slide
Yes, sir.
change? Yes, sir. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
All
it's
right.
changing.
All right, once again, it's good to have you all on the call. Today we'll be discussing around the next part of our course. Our course together, Unilearning Inspire. Our next course on our graphics design course is a basic introduction into user interface and user experience design. The good thing about these two topics is something you have been hearing before now. You always hear UI UX, UI UX. They mean user interface and user experience design. And there's no way you can understand or try to convey the meaning of the user experience design without explaining what user interface is all about. And the reason why I have titled this our presentation as user interface design is because more of what we are going to be doing as a graphics designer ourselves, and according to our background, we are graphics designers and we are used to designing interfaces for different, when I mean by interfaces, not really, when you're talking about interface, you're talking about digital products, you're talking about your mobile screens, your TV screens, your marketing screens, different screens. You're talking about screen design and you're talking about web product as well. So we'll be going into that, but because we have a graphics design background, basically if you're a graphics designer, you know that we design for two things. Either we are designing for print as a graphics designer, or we are designing for screens. When I mean for screens, I'm talking about designing for all these our social medias, our social media posts, our phones to be seen on screens, on digital screens, or we are designing for print as a graphics designer. But when we are talking about user interface and user experience design, we are basically talking about digital screens. Are you guys with me here? Should I call the group? Let me call the group. Let me call the group. So if anybody joins, I'll inform them to join the Telegram group call. Alright, so let's proceed, guys. Today we'll be talking and we'll be introducing ourselves to the basics of user interface and user experience design. And first, I would like to break each and every word down. First, we're talking about user interface design. What does user interface mean? What does the word user experience mean? What does the word design mean, right? So we are going from the very basics here. Guys, if you are joining on WhatsApp, you are wrong. You are supposed to be on our Telegram group. Go to the link that was shared on the WhatsApp group. Click on that link to join the section so that you can be a part of the class. Click on the link on the WhatsApp group to join the Telegram call. That is where you can be a part of this class. You are not supposed to be on WhatsApp. Alright, so what is user interface design? User interface design, just like yourself, I had to go online to go and confirm what does interface mean. So from the word interface here, interface is a point where two systems, subject, organization, etc. meet and what? Interact. Any interface, any system, any space where two systems or subjects meet and interact is known as an interface, right? Now, I told you earlier that when we are talking about user interface or user experience design, we are talking about digital interfaces, and this can come in form of your laptop screens. This can come in form of your tabs. Can come in form of your tabs. Can come in form of your mobile phones and your smartwatches. So these are digital. So these are different interfaces that we interact with on a daily basis. Now, for example, I'm trying to take you back now. If I have a screen, a banner like this, like should I call it a mast? You know, there are some that are static like this, and there are also some that are digital that you can see animation of Chivita or Malt on them. It will be displaying. It will be digitally like a little bit of animation is going on. The words are popping up and the likes. We have digital screens as well, even for publication, for marketing. Do you guys get me? I think I have to leave this WhatsApp group because I don't want their audio going into my call. So I've quit the call. All right, do you guys understand? We have static banners like this, and then we have some that are digital as well. So if a company decides that they want to market to some people, and they decide that, okay, I'm going to be putting a banner out there, and then you can see, for example, this is Costech Computers Limited, and they have some image in the background. If I'm driving through, I can see the Costech logo in the middle, and I can feel like, oh, are they into piping? Are they into road and highway design? Are they into construction? Are they into interior decor? What am I seeing here? Basically, from their banner, I get an information about the brand. This can be more detailed compared to what I have here, but I'm just giving you an insight. So this banner, this face, these marks that I have here serve as an interface of interaction between the marketer, who is the company who is trying to market, and the target audience who I'm expecting to be driving at this particular time. Do you understand? So very quickly, I want to show myself, I want to show my businesses to them. Whenever you're traveling on the road, you meet a lot of this. If you go to the airport, you see a lot of signs. Different businesses are trying to get your attention using what? Advertisement, right? Trying to turn your attention towards them. So this is also as simple as this screen that I have here. This symbol here shows that on this part, if you are trying to journey, there is a road to the left and there is a road to your right. This serves as an interface for whoever is going to be driving and coming to this junction here. Knows that there is a what? There is an interface. There is a communication method here that is being employed to communicate to the driver that you can drive to the left or you can drive to the right. This also serves as a what? Interface. But we are not talking about that interface. We are actually talking about the user interface, and we are talking about the user experience. So what does user interface mean? User interface focuses on how pleasing a design is to the eye of a user. Now, there's something about user interface and user experience design. And that thing you will always hear that it is about the user. That is why user comes first in even the word that have been added together, user interface. The other one is what? User experience. The fact that user is being emphasized in this word, the industry of user interface and user experience design focuses on the user. It is all about the user. We don't care about what's happening, how do we, whatever we are trying to solve, the problem we are trying to solve, who we are trying to solve it for is the point of our focus, meaning the user, right? So user interface is the focus. This focuses on how pleasing, when they call something aesthetic. So when it's how a design looks, how pleasing it is to the eye. You understand? How appealing. Like I said back in our graphics design presentation the last time, I told you that sometimes, have you ever bought something online and the reason why you actually bought that product is just because of the way it looks? That is what user interface is all about. This focuses on how pleasing a design is to the eye of a user. Is it attractive enough? Is it well placed? Is it appealing for a user? Right? That is user interface. And while user interface concerns itself with how a design looks, right? User experience focuses on how design feels. Basically, how a person, the user, feels after interacting or experiencing a particular product. That is what user experience is all about. User experience is about how do you feel after interacting or using a particular product. What is your experience like? And we all have that feeling after meeting a person. In fact, you might be chatting with a person and then you have an idea of that person. We have some biases. We have some things in our eyes, some ideas of what this person might be like. And meeting that person in person can be a whole new experience compared to what we have online, right? So user interface is that profile picture of that person you have been seeing on your WhatsApp group. And then finally, you meeting that person physically and you feel like, that is user experience. Do you understand? I'm trying to take this as casual as possible, so don't mind me. We'll move forward. Now, what is a product? What are we talking about? You can see the first explanation is talking about a user interface is how appealing a product is to the user, and the other one is talking about how the experience of a user using a particular product. So what's the concept of a product? A product is a good, is a service, or a feature. So a good as simple as your chips, let's say Pringles, something as simple as that. A product can be as simple as a good as a Pringle. If you look at Pringle design, a Pringle product, that snacks that you guys snack on, so it has a particular design. I don't know if any of you knew. Pringles comes in a kind of form that is kind of funny, not as regular as you might have think it should have come out like other snack that you have. But that design that you have there for your Pringles, also there is a reason. There is a design behind that. There's a reason behind that style, that form that Pringle snacks take, right? That form of that shape of that snack. There's a reason behind it. That's not what I'm here to explain to you. But I believe you guys should know. If you don't know, please try to check it out. Every product has every design decisions has a reason. So when we are talking about a product can come in form of a good as simple as your chips or your snack, or it can come in form of what? A service you render to people, or we are talking about a feature on a particular application. You can see your WhatsApp application, for example, or our Telegram application, for example. Every now and then, whenever you open the application again, it shows you that there are new features available, right? The product hasn't changed, but there are new additions that have been added to the product to make the product more easier and more user-friendly. Do you understand what I mean? So we move further from there. So what are the characteristics of a good user experience? Every product in the user interface and user experience world, a good user experience, a product must fulfill four major purposes, right? It must have four major characteristics. One of them is that it has to be usable. Whatever product you are designing at the end goal, it's like a beginning, like you are entering into a funnel. Whenever you come into the funnel and then you are coming out at the other end, it needs to serve these major purposes. What's the first one? The first one is usability. The product that you are creating needs to be what? Usable, right? If you have created a product to solve a particular user problem, those users should be able to what? Use that particular product, right? Do you get me? The product needs to be what? Usable. Usable is in that you can see the image that I have right on the side here. Before we usually have what you call ketchup bottle in a glass bottle. I don't know if anybody has that experience then. Back then, ketchup bottle usually comes in a glass bottle. So usually whenever you want to get any ketchup out of that glass, you usually have to tap just at the bottom of the glass bottle. Most of the time, whenever you do that, sometimes you get more than what you need, and sometimes you struggle to get enough of whatever you are trying to eat, the ketchup that you need on your bread or whatever you are trying to use it for. So when you eat on that bottom of the glass, you get more than the ketchup that you need, or sometimes you get just a little bit of ketchup on what you need it for. So that was the problem. That was the problem at the point, and then the solution was created. Now ketchup bottle have been transferred into a rubber plastic bottle that you can basically squeeze, and this makes it very easy for you to get ketchup out of that plastic. Do you understand? That was a user problem, as simple as that. It's a user problem. Now you cannot turn that into user interface or user, because that's not an interface. But basically, I'm talking about the user experience. Using the glass bottle was more difficult compared to when we actually solved the problem by using a plastic bottle. But you can see user experience or user experience design is being inculcated in different industries, right? Another characteristic of a good product, of a good user experience, of a product that comes out of a good user experience is what? Equitable. Equitable designs are designs that can be used by that serves a lot of audiences. That means people can use it, not just a targeted audience. Most people get to use your product, and they feel like they are welcome. They are also seen. They feel seen, right? As we all know, users different and users differ. We all have unique characteristics, and we all have unique problems that we face on a regular basis. Sometimes some of us, we have issues with personal issues with eye. Maybe sometimes some people don't like bright screens. Some people are colorblind. Some people can't. They are disabled. You understand? Putting those people in consideration in the product you are trying to create. Those type of human problems, right? That are natural. You understand that definitely we have quite a number of people in these different categories. So equitable designs means you are serving different people with different capabilities, right? That's the meaning of equitable design. And then the next one is what? Enjoyable. Whatever product you have created does not just need to solve a particular problem, but the process of using that product to solve that problem needs to be what? Easy and what? Enjoyable in the process. Everybody knows that it's very we all find it easy to what? Join a Zoom call. It is that you are clicking on a Zoom link, or you are clicking on a Zoom link that takes you to a particular interface where you get to what? Enter the what? The meeting password. So easy and direct, which is one of the heuristics of user experience design. Whatever you are trying to do, you need to try to create a product that takes the user very limited memory or effort to get that job done. You understand? The process needs to be what? Very simple and what? Enjoyable. Another part is what? The last characteristics of a very good user experience is what? The product needs to be what? Useful. When we are talking about product being useful, we are talking about whatever you have created to solve a particular problem needs to solve that problem, right? Now look at Google Map, for example. The app was created for you to get your location and get an easy navigation to whatever new location you are trying to go to. Let's say I'm lost and I'm in somewhere in Ilorin. I don't know where I am, but I feel like I'm going to see a friend and I'm currently here. Then I can turn on my Google Map to get my current location and I can enter the address from my friend. Then I can try to navigate as easy as possible to that guy's location. Or we have, like, most of the time, whenever you are going somewhere new, you always ask for what is the major landmark in that place. Some of them will tell you, food spot. There's a food court around that place. That's the major landmark for that location. You understand? When I'm trying to use that as a navigation on my Google Map, and I feel like, okay, we are going to be meeting at UBA Bank in so street. Whenever I'm lost and I'm trying to use that Google Map to find my location and that product is unable to give me that location at that time, that product is not useful, right? When it serves its purpose, that means when I open the application and I click on get my location and it finds my location, and then I'm able to easily navigate to the nearest UBA bank to meet my friend, and the application helps me in navigating easily, then that product is considered what? Is considered useful. Right? Every product you are trying to create must serve its purpose. Whatever purpose that the product is being created for, it should serve its purpose. That's talking about what? Usefulness, guys. Now let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about a very simple product. Now this is as simple as a product get. This an example of an e-commerce website is a Google e-commerce website. So what you do here, you basically go ahead to browse the particular product you are looking for. Immediately you search that product, you get to see the price of the product. You also get to see the description of the product. You know that it's menswear, and then you know the rating alongside. All these things you are seeing here are not just created out of whims and fancies. These are due to what? Having considered carefully who our users are and what they will need to see at a very short glance, right? First, you want to see the product you are looking for. You want to see the cost that is attached to it, a brief description about the product. You want to see ratings. Basically, you want to see people recommending these things, like a testimonial. That's the rating that we have here. And then you get to move further by selecting the product to read more details, and then going ahead to finally make a purchase. That's an example of an e-commerce website. Please, let's stay muted, guys. Apart from a website, I'm going to be going to another digital product, like a mobile application, for example. Look at a mobile application for a food ordering app for a brand known as Foodie Land. Foodie Land has decided to create a mobile application for their customers. And because they are located somewhere in Lagos and they have created this application, look at the first phase of the mobile application. A very simple user flow here. This user is trying to make an order, and immediately you open the application, you get to search for a particular food, or you get to select what category the food you are looking for fall into. It can be pizza, it can be into the drinks that you're trying to look for dessert. Now, if you decide to go into pizza, that's why we have pizza highlighted. User interface concerns itself with how this interface transition from one screen to another screen, and the last screen that I have here. A user interface designer concerns itself with, okay, what's the color, what's the logo of the brand? The logo of the brand is white and an orange color. Fantastic. Okay, the user interface designer decides to concern itself with, okay, 1/3 of this screen is going to be using the orange color, and the 2/3 of this screen is going to be using the white background, right? A user interface designer decide that, okay, let me go ahead to arrange just below here the product. Let me put this image of the image here. In fact, the image of the image of the product, I don't want it to be full picture. I just want it to be like a transparent image that shows background directly on the stuff, like a screenshot, like a headshot of each of the pizza recipe. And then you have that listed here as well, right? This is user interface in action. And then the user interface designer also noticed that as I'm transitioning from one page to another, I need to maintain the same color scheme, right? And I need to also prioritize where I want my users to make an action, where I want them to take an action. So when I want them to add to cart, I change that color to a bright red color so that they can notice that immediately, right? And they can select. Now, when they go ahead to even select and add to cart on the successful interface, they also get to see where they can click on checkout immediately. And then they also see a part where they can go to what? Browse more option. And you can see these two buttons are showing in different ways. Now, what's the role of a user experience designer? A user experience designer decided that, oh, Foodland, we have noticed that part of our customers are not just Nigerian guys. We also have people that have relocated to Nigeria, the Chinese guys that are also ordering from us. So they have added a feature that helps you to what? Change from English to what? Chinese here. A language converter has been added, and a button for language conversion has been added here. So you can click on this icon to switch from English to what? Chinese. Because we know that our audience are not just English guys, are not just guys that are fluent in English, they are guys that also what? We have majority of our audience, of our customers are also what? Chinese guys. Apart from that, we also notice that some people do not like to, people that are visually impaired. So we are trying to use some what? Voice activation. So if you click on voice, it's going to read out the option that you have pepperoni pizza, $8, $18, and it's going to read out basically all the options that you have there. Just like you are attending to a customer service section, maybe you are calling a customer care center where you are using voice activation to go through your ordering process. Then you can select, okay, go to pepperoni, and then you go to pepperoni, and then order how many. It's going to ask you the next one. What are the amounts? What are the numbers of orders you are trying to choose? You can select 2 or 3 or as much as you want. Basically, you can see a user experience designer decided that you're going to be adding a what? A language converter here, a voice command here, and then as well, every user needs to what? Have a place where they can what? Make order. After they have ordered, we want them to see a what? Congratulative message that tells them that their product or product basically has been added to what? Their cart. And they can proceed ahead to go and what? Check out immediately, or they can go back to browse more products to add to their cart. Basically, you can see the different role of user interface designer as a what? User experience designer, right? So this is very, very simple. This is as simple as it gets. I'm just trying to what? Try to make this very, very easy. So what's the concept of design in the first place? So now, what is design? Design is a plan or a drawing produced to what? Show the look and function of a working plan, either for a building, a government, or an object before it is being made. A design is more like a concept. It's like a prototype. You know, a prototype of what is yet to be what? Live. What we are planning to do, right? So this is a design. And then we have this design. This is being done by different industries. Like I said, the concept of user experience design is not just limited to digital products. People into the process of what? Designing your different automobiles, different buildings, and the likes are also what? Implementing user experience design in different ways as possible. Why is it that the first version of cars, you have to drag them before you open the door, and later you can click on something and the door opens automatically? These are changes that happens over the years as the users has been what? Analyzed every year. They make the process of doing the same thing easier every single year, right? Now, for you to reverse a car before, you need to start looking at your what? your back mirror. Basically, you get to look at your side mirror to confirm you are not eating anything. Meanwhile, from your dashboard, from your dash, just to the right of your in the middle part of your car, you can see your back. There's a camera that has been attached to the back of every car now that you can now reverse easily just by looking at your camera. So easy to park and do a lot of things as well. So this is how design user experience is being implemented across the board. This is the concept of design. So basically, I don't want you to limit the concept of design just to our digital product. Like I said, everything you see around you is in fact what? A design. Now, from the vector graphics, from a graphics designer that decided that, okay, we have a picture, let me try to create a vector form of that same picture. This is also considered a design. We can have a graphics designer that creates just what this guy does is just isometric plan of different cities, or plan, basically creating an isometric design of every digital or normal pictures. These are also what? Designs in every way. And then we have people that even go into the process of fabricating your different chairs, sofas, and different dining tables and the likes. This into the field of furniture creation as well. This is also known as what? Design. In fact, your building is also what? A design. Because whenever you are trying to go into your building, for example, you are climbing through the stairs, for example, and you are trying to enter into a building. Why is it that whenever you open the main door to the entrance of the building, whenever you open the door, you are not getting into the bedroom? The first place you get to, you can be a what? A lobby, a walkway, a reception, or you are getting into the sitting room first. And then from the sitting room, you can find another walkway that takes you into the rooms. Maybe you are going upstairs or something like that. Why is it that whenever you open the first door into the building, you are not getting into the bedroom of the owner? There is a system in place of how these designs are being created, right? These are all considered design. How do we even organize our bedrooms as well in the first place? Why do we have some light now around our bed because of the people that read at night, right? Why do we have to change the light to change the serene, to change the ambience of our living room, our bedroom? You will notice that in our sitting room, most of the time, we can switch the colors now. We can switch the what? The vibe, the tone, the mood of the sitting room. Sometimes we have bright colors going on, and sometimes we have a very dim, solemn, cool color going on in our sitting room, right? Also, that goes for bedroom as well. Most of the time, we try to use what? Not so bright colors in our bedroom because we are getting ourselves prepared for what? The night. Yet, we have some lamps just beside our bed. If we want to read before we go to bed, we can do that. These are all designs. From the cars and fantastic different cars that we have, fast cars that we are all following and we are all familiar with. These are all designs, right? And everything comes from what? A concept. They create a concept, a prototype of the product before finally creating the what? The final product. And this goes into as simple as our what? Ordinary digital product as well. From the digital menus, that different restaurants that we visit, that we go ahead to check out, we have application to order online, the global application that we're using, even our fabrics. I'm talking about our clothes, the Ankaras, the shirts, the vintage shirt that we have on, the patterns that we have on them. These are all considered as designs as well. We all know what laptop is being used for. We all know the purpose of a laptop, but laptops comes in different forms, styles, and different features as well. Some laptops are just touch screen and that's all you have, and some provides you with different features with different specifications as well. Even our places of worships are also considered design, right? They comes in different forms, shapes, and the likes. And again, these things come from a what? A prototype. A set of people sit down together, come up with an idea, a vision of what are we trying to create, what are the purposes that this building is going to serve, and then they try to put everything into place before finally coming up with what? The final product of a city. Our city, in fact, is also what? A design, right? In fact, the nature itself is a what? A design. From the serene environment, you can see the way God Himself has what? Put things in place. If you go to beach, if you have been to beach, you have been to a beach before, you see the water blending directly with the land, and you can see the palm trees around that region. Why don't we have the normal? Do you understand why do we have palm trees along that edge, along that path a lot? Even the product, the fruits that we consume every day are what? Designs. In fact, nature itself is a what? A design. The cities that we live in is a design. God Himself is a what? Is a designer. From the way He fashioned each and every one of us, from the skeletal to the muscle tissues to the full body tissues and the likes, like everything is being added in states. If you can't find it, you can't find the best another place that is more convenient for your ears, apart from the location that it currently is. that they are currently at the moment. You can't find another location that is best for your what mouth, apart from that current location that is currently in. So you agree that in fact God is the best of designers, and people that are into design, in fact people that are also trying to create design from the product, from the graphic stuff, and even creating models of machine parts. I'm talking about the architectural buildings as well. You are the next best, guys. You are the next best in terms talking about the next best of people. You can see basically everything is connected, guys. Everything is connected in the user interface and user experience design. And what is the role? What is the role of Adobe XD or Figma, in fact, in user interface and user experience design? Adobe XD is one of the products, one of the software that provides designers with a platform to create digital products, digital designs, and also what create design experiences, right? When I'm talking about creating this in creating different products, we are also considering creating experiences, and there are different platforms that does that. Not just Adobe XD, we have Figma that is also a very big pioneer when it comes to creating digital products and digital experiences, right? So we have Figma, these are products that helps you to what create user experiences and user what interface. Now this takes me to every role and different roles in the user interface and user experience design. The first of them is the specialist. Specialist is one of the field or one of the category of experts in the industry, and this usually shows an expert in one thing. For example, we all know the field of what? Engineering. When we say engineering, engineering is a general name, right? We have product engineers, we have civil engineers, we have mechanical engineers, right? So these are specialists. When we are talking about specialists, engineering serves as the word family name. For example, let's take a closer example. That's, for example, like a doctor. When I say the word doctor, it's a general name, it's a general term. But we have different type of doctors, right? We have a dentist. That's a specialist in what? In the area of what? Teeth, right? Do you understand? We have the gynecologist, right? We have different ophthalmologists, right? A specialist in what? In the eye business, right? These are specialists. Also in the field of design, we have specialists, which means what? A specialist, an expert in what? In one thing. We have a generalist as well, which is another category of designers and another category of designers. A generalist has a broad number of what? Responsibilities. These people are on the landscape. They try to do everything. They call them jack of all trades, master of all, right? They do everything. They are into everything. They know how to do everything. Is the designer, is the user interface designer, is what I can do animation again. If you talk about web development, is into it again. If you are talking about developing, the guy can also develop. Not just only front end, the guy can also do back end development as well. When you talk about cybersecurity, he's also into that as well. Do you understand? These are generalists, and people try. In the study of life, people don't take generalists as so serious because they can't trust you. Imagine you go to an hospital and the person that treated you for your dentist, after checking your teeth and everything, you now ask the man that my wife is about to get to deliver a child. In fact, she's 8 months gone, and he says bring her to my hospital whenever it's time to. You'll be like, guy, what are you doing? You understand? You can't trust him. That's one problem being a generalist. People don't trust you in whatever field that you are in. So you need to have a core. The T-shaped designer is where I want every one of us on this call to be, which is an expert in one thing and capable of lots of other things as well. What do I mean by this? If I'm talking about a T-shaped designer, I'm talking about somebody that have an idea in coding. This guy also knows how to create prototypes. This guy can create nice visual design. This guy understands the concept of user research. He knows the concept of user content writing as well. But his deep focus, his deep knowledge is into the field of what? Visual design. That is his core strength. That is what he markets himself on. Whenever you ask him what does he do, I'm a visual designer, right? Because that is his core skill, right? That is his core skill. But he definitely has an idea on coding and prototyping. He can do some little things about it. So it's always good to have a general knowledge, but definitely you need to find a niche. A niche is your strength, right? Your strength. Try to do this. There's an analysis they call SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is where you confirm your strength, your weakness, the opportunities that you have, and then you try to confirm what's the last thing, the T. SWOT analysis is what? What's the T? Guys, what's the T? Somebody should know what the T is. SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, and what? Threats. T stands for what? Threats in SWOT analysis. What are the threats that you have, right? So now let's go ahead. Let's move forward. What are the design stages in tech? When we are talking about now, we've learned about what design user experience is all about, what the different field of user experience are all about as well. So let's go into, we are talking about user experience design. What are the design stages for user experience design? And this is broken down into 5 major parts. The first of them is what? Empathize. The second one is what? We have define. The other one is ideate. We have prototype. And then the last one is what? Test. On these different stages, different activities are being done on these stages, right? The first stage, where we call empathize. Every user experience designer knows that, user interface or user experience designer knows that whatever I'm designing, whatever I'm creating is not for myself. What I'm creating is for what? My user. So you will try to what? Remove our user attachment. We have this attachment that whenever a graphic designer will relate to this a lot. Whenever you create something, you spend weeks, months working on a particular portfolio design and your brochure design, and you finally submit it, and somebody is telling you that the color, yes, the way you look at that person, just be like, what's this guy saying? Mr. Man, keep quiet. You understand? Because you are now physically, emotionally attached to that product, to that project that you've worked on. You don't want to receive any user's opinion. You don't want to receive any, so don't give me that kind of nonsense, or don't give me that kind of comment and the likes. You understand? Meanwhile, user interface and user experience design is not that phase. Whatever we are doing is for a particular product. It's for a particular user, a particular targeted audience, right? For the first stage of empathize, when we are talking about empathizing with user, empathizing, don't try not to confuse empathy with what? Sympathy, right? When I say sympathy, we are all familiar with the concept of sympathy. When somebody is going through something, you just, oh, so you now lost your phone. Oh, sorry. You know, you try not to put yourself in that state. You try not to, you just feel like you have an idea of what this guy is talking about, and just try to what is it called? What is it called? And try to what? Sympathize with them. Try to make them feel better. You understand? Just try to make them feel better. You know, try to, oh, sorry. God will help you. You know, just be careful next time. You never know. You just have to be safe. You know, sympathy is not empathy. When you are talking about empathy, you are trying to put yourself in that same shoe, right? You are trying to put yourself in that same shoe of that person. When a person is telling you that I'm struggling with my school activities, imagine you are saying it to somebody that have also been in that kind of shoes before. They'll be like, oh, this is how I did mine. This is how I solved mine. You know, that person can empathize, can relate with whatever you are saying. Empathizing is different from sympathy. Empathizing is you trying to take yourself from the current state that you are in into that user's shoes and their scenario. Try to feel exactly what they are feeling. Try to feel exactly what they are feeling and what? Be in that same mood and headspace that they are currently into, so that you can better decide and look at a better way to solve their problem. Apart from empathizing with the user, when you empathize with the user, you get to hear a lot of pain points, different pain points that these users are going through, right? As a student in my department, it's very difficult to see our results. In fact, they take a lot of time. I wish whenever I've traveled back home, I can just get my results online, something like that, like a structured way to get this thing done. You know, different problems. What other thing do you struggle with? The person say, when it comes to my lecture too, my lecturer is so. Do you understand? Different problems. When you have a project idea in mind and you try to reach out to different users, and this empathizing stage is mostly done using what? A concept known as what? Research. Design what? Research. Research is done in different ways. We have the primary research, we have the secondary research, we have this primary and secondary research are even further divided into different categories as well, right? When you're trying to empathize, you're trying to understand user pain points. You're trying to know this, what are they struggling with? And after confirming what they are struggling with, you move to the next stage, which is what? To define. Now you come up with a lot of problems that these users are struggling with. The next thing is for you to define which of these problems is worth solving actually. Out of all these problems that this person have listed, which one should we go for first? The same thing you will notice on your what? On your WhatsApp. First, WhatsApp have created something. Later, WhatsApp have created something like transcribe on your WhatsApp chat. If somebody send an audio to you, you can transcribe it. Why? Because that is not the first problem of WhatsApp. It was later during the product life cycle that they go ahead to what? Empathize again. When you empathize, they come back to the users of WhatsApp again to confirm what are you still struggling with using this WhatsApp. How can we make this product better for you? Now people are saying, can't WhatsApp be like Telegram? Telegram that we can host a live call where people can join the WhatsApp, where I can share my screen. Now WhatsApp decided that okay, we are going to create a share screen feature that you can now share your screen on WhatsApp. This is what problem that this user process, this process that I have here currently on your screen is a process. It's not like a one-time process. No, it's something that you revisit. Is a reiterative process that you go ahead to do again over and over and over again, like a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You understand? You go over them over and over again, right? Now, after users have listed out a lot of problem again, WhatsApp will decide that okay, out of all the problems that these users have mentioned, which one should we go for first? They define and they be like, okay, let us give them the feature of transcribe. Let's also give them the feature of what? Sharing screen on WhatsApp. And later you will see notice that in the future they will see revisit those users again and then try to what? Come up with other problems that they can solve again in the future. WhatsApp will continue to get better and better and better over the years because of the user experience design process. The next process after defining, after getting what your problem is, after defining a user problem and which of this problem is even important, which one is most important for us to solve right now, then we go to the process of what? Ideating. Ideating is trying to come up with different ideas, different solutions for this problem, right? How do we solve this problem? With the problem of users cannot listening to audio in traffic and they, okay, let us transcribe it for them. What other way can we? Let us transcribe. When you click on transcribe, that means whenever somebody sends you an audio, it can transcribe that in English for you. While you are in traffic, you don't have to put your phone in your ear and they steal your phone just by the car or window screen or your car window. They just take your that process is gone. That error is gone, right? So you can transcribe the audio just to see the write-up and then you can move on from there. So ideating basically is where you try to come up with as much ideas as possible on the possible solutions that you can create for this single problem that you have singled out during your define stage. The next thing that we have there is the concept of what? Prototype. After you've come up with different ideas, this ideation stage is basically where you are trying to create some sketches. You are trying to create some sketches. The process of, let me give you the process of defining. You are creating a user. Now you are choosing a particular target audience you are trying to design for. You are creating a user persona. You are creating a what? A user problem, a problem statement. That's a define stage. When we go to ideating, ideating is talking about what? Wireframing and what? Creating a what? A wireframe, a sketch, a mind mapping of a user journey, just like what we have done for graphics design of a brand identity design before. The same thing you want to know, how does a user think? What's the process? What's the normal process? Right? If I want to order something online, what's the user process? What's the problem that you try to what? Use and you need to what? Ideate different ways of solving one particular problem. You come up with as much ideas as possible. And then out of those ideas that you've come up with on this particular ideate stage, you now decide to what? Use a what? Out of those ideas, select one that is most user friendly and then prototype. When you try to prototype, you are creating a what? A final similitude of what your product is going to look like in the what? In the final end of your product. A prototype is a working sample of a product. A working sample of a product. A prototype carries everything that you are going to see on the final product, and usually it carries maybe, for example, people that are, I don't know if you have web developers in this on this call, people that are into the background of web development, you create different codes. You have already created a website already, but you call it local host. Local host is that what? It is not online yet. It is not live on the website yet. On this local host, you can still make your corrections. You can do a lot of things. Also, you can make correction on the live website. But it is better for you to, while you have your product on local host, do all the corrections you want to make. And when the customer finally agrees with the final prototype, then you go ahead to what? Upload to the cloud, such that whenever you click on the hyperlink for the website, now the website can come up and you don't have to be adjusting and editing at that stage. A prototype is a working final sample of a product, right? That simulates, that emulates what the final product is going to look like, right? We all have that. When you are creating a design, maybe like mechanical design, you see a machine part rolling, animated, showing like how the product is going to look like, right? Before even coming up with a car, people have already created the sample, they have created an animation of how that car is going to look like, and then they go ahead to, okay, let's move on with this process. After the prototype, then you go ahead to what? Test. When you test your product is, before you launch a product to the outside environment, I'm talking about to the audience, to the globe, before you can find any product on Google Play Store, there's a process they have done behind closed curtains, which is what? Testing. They try to invite users like yourself, people that have been using WhatsApp before now. WhatsApp also have a user group. A user group are people that use WhatsApp like yourselves. They might not be calling you, but they are people that have been using WhatsApp similar to yourself, that fit your own kind of persona, and they kind of what bring them together, that people come and test this WhatsApp, come and look at this feature that we have created, the share screen feature and then the transcribe feature. Do you find it useful? Is it important? Do you find it useful? And this is going to be like, it is fantastic. The good thing about all this process is that whenever it fits and work for a particular type of audience, when you launch it out to the globe, everybody kind of find it what? Useful as well, right? If it works for the user group, it's mostly works for what? For the entire people that are going to be using the WhatsApp application later in the future. So when you test, after the testing phase has been confirmed and have been used properly, this prototyping is done more with what? Creating a physical replica of what that product is going to look like. The testing phase is trying to do what? User testing, inviting users on board to come and test the product out. And whenever they say that, they give you the thumbs up. Usually, the problem you don't catch on define stage, on idea stage, on prototyping stage, you catch them with users. Users will be like, what's the color of this thing? It's not really making sense. I don't even know that I have this feature on my application. This is not really obvious. And then from this test, you can still go back again. Go ahead and what? Empathize with that user again. Define that product again. Define how you can make that thing more visible again. Ideate different process again, and then prototype it out again. They go through this process again and test until they finally have a product that is what? Publishing. And when they decide to finally go public with it and they launch that product out, do you know what they're going to do again? They're going to go to the Play Store, and then you have somewhere where you can wait feedback. You can drop feedback, you can drop comments. People are going to go to under application and be like, oh, this product is so nice. Recommendations, basically. Recommendation. The first set of recommendations you're going to get are from the what? User group that have been tested the product in the first place. Do you get me? So you will get what? Test and what? Launch this product. This is basically the process of a product life cycle, right? And like I said, it is a what? Reiterative process. Reiterative process. That means you go through it one step, you go back to it again. After understanding a user problem, after you understand how a user experiences a particular product, you go to the next stage of what? Specifying the user's need. What problem are we trying to solve? What need are we trying to solve at this current moment? After that, we go to what? Designing a solution for that need. After designing different solutions for that need, we go to what? Evaluate that solution against the users that we have created it for. After we have checked that, we might have to go back from that stage. If the user gives us some comments, we might go back to design to go and solve it again. Or we can even go back again to what? Specify the user need again. You can present some solution and some user will be like, this is not what I was talking about in the first. This is not what I even mean. Like you're trying to solve a problem, and it's not even a problem that the users have in the first place. That's not even what the users is struggling with in the first place. Which is one thing we try to what? Avoid in user experience design. We don't want to solve a problem that we just think the users have. We want to solve a problem that the users actually have, that they are struggling with, their actual pain point. You understand? On this stage, you might even have to go back to the first stage of what? Understanding what the user's problems are in the first place. Like I said, it is a what? Reiterative process. A process where you go like a rinse and repeat. You get to go over it until you finally come out of the other end having a product that is what? Publishing. That is what user experience and user interface is all about. Again, this process is divided into user research, information architecture, where you try to what? Put similar information together and how a user flow is going to work, right? And then we go ahead to talk about what? Wireframing. Wireframing is a sample of what the final prototype is going to look like, a sample of how we are going to organize our different products. And after that, we go into what? Prototyping. We create a digital sample, a digital replica of the final product, simulating and what? Emulating the final product of our design. Visual design. This is where you get try to what put visuals to it. Let's put the right colors. Let's make sure it aligns with WhatsApp application. Let's make sure we use what the same color scheme as what for the students, for the, the kind of product you are designing attract different audience. We have mentioned this earlier about color scheme and color theory, how different colors aligns with different brands and different audience. Now the next part is what effective communication. Another part of your design is what in the user experience design, something known as what effective communication. The simple understanding of effective communication in user experience design is this. Effective communication is when you are doing something as a user, whenever you are on a particular product. It's one of the heuristics of design. You might not understand what I mean by heuristics, but if you go online to go and search heuristics of UX design, you see there are kind of 11 or 10 heuristics of user experience design. One of the heuristics of design is that every user should be notified of what they are currently doing. Like an effective communication is to happen from the digital product to your screen. Look at your printer, for example. When there's a paper jam, it shows a particular color on the screen, showing blinking and blinking and blinking, just to show you that something is happening. Just like on your car too, whenever you are driving, on the dashboard, you see a symbol that you don't have water or in your what radiator anymore. A notification comes on your dashboard. Effective communication is an interface that basically a system in place. You need to have a system in place that communicates the current state and condition of your application to the user. Look at an elevator, for example. Whenever you are trying to go up the elevator, when you click on that arrow up or arrow down, you look up to a very small platform there that shows where the elevator is currently at the moment. You see 8th floor, and you are currently on 0th floor, ground floor. You are waiting for the elevator to come down to you. So it's currently on the 4th floor. You see it's coming down to the what? 2nd floor. You are waiting for it to come down to. Do you understand? That notification is known as what? Effective communication. The same thing goes for your digital product as well. Whenever a user has what? Made an error rather. Whenever a user click on something, you see your application will ask you, are you sure you want to delete this? And then when you finally delete, you say that you have successfully deleted so. The same way if you want to add to group, you tell you, are you sure you want to add to group? Yes. Do you understand? Those effective communication, there should be a back and forth information between your users such that the users feels like they are being what? Carried along. I cannot cover the extent of user experience and user interface design on this single call. In fact, we have less than one. In fact, our time is what? Already spent already. And again, this sums up. This is the final tail end of our section of user interface design. That's basically what user interface is all about. Is how you get your design from one state where we just have the idea of our product as just a concept in our head, and then we go ahead to create at the other end of that spectrum is the final product, a fully functional product that is ready for what? The market. Do you understand? This is what user interface and user experience is all about. This sums up our section for today. Do you have a question for me, guys?